Hello, happy Friday. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topic on Newscast. The Senate stayed in chambers late into the night on Thursday and voted for the second time on quite a few nominations from Governor Kenneth Mapp, including the 11 that were held up because of salaries. The Senate's decision pleased those with anti-salary increase sentiments, but it was done in a manner that's a bit more complicated than usual. News 2's April Knight has that story.
The Senate's actions Thursday on Governor Mapp's 11 cabinet nominees to whom he promised raises was a win for those who say no raises during a fiscal crisis, but in somewhat a roundabout way. All of the disputed nominations were approved except for Eugene Farrell as Director of Fire Services, but the approvals came with a sting. Their salaries were returned to December 2014 levels. That means no salary increases at all. Senate President Neville James stated the Senate is well within its rights to dictate salaries.
Revised Organic Act of 1954 states clearly in Section 20, all salaries for government officials throughout government, throughout all three branches, are prescribed by the laws of the Virgin Islands. The institution that prescribes these laws is the legislature of the Virgin Islands.
Now, what the Senate actually did was it confirmed the nominations and then inserted the salary reductions as an amendment to a separate bill. Now, one senator is not comfortable with that because if the governor vetoes that bill and the Senate doesn't override that veto, the confirmations could stick along with the pay raises.
I said I was in a quandary because, one, you can't revoke your confirmation if the salary issue doesn't work out in your favor. It was never a number for me. It was the principle that we could not start off in the economic climate that he had described with giving increases to one set of people in government. And I had to hold that to the end.
Governor Mapp thanked the Senate for approving the nominations, but no mention of what he intends to do with the salary reduction amendment. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
The 31st legislature, led by Senate President Neville James, on Thursday approved several measures, including a measure to allow for the promotion of St. Croix on St. Thomas. Bill number 31-0076 was approved with a vote of 14 yes, 1 no. Senator Tregenza Roach said that he was against putting signage on public transportation and beaches, especially in light of the testimony from the Department of Tourism with regard to all of the measurable items that they have implemented to be able to track response and traffic to St. Croix. Later, legislators shared a difference of opinion regarding Bill number 31-0148, an act to issue real property tax revenue anticipation notes in fiscal year 2015 and thereafter for working capital purposes, proposed by Senator Kurt Violet by request of the governor. Senators also spoke to the subsequent burden of presenting the people of the territory with two property tax bills. At press time, senators continued to discuss that measure. Meeting on St. Thomas Thursday, the governing board of the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority elected officers for a one-year term. All existing officers were nominated and elected to once again serve in their present positions. Elected to serve a third term as chairman was Attorney Gerald Groner, Esquire Juanita Young as vice chairman, and Noel Loftus as board secretary. Board members also paid tribute to Donald Francois, who has announced his retirement from the governing board. Employee Mr. Jerome Diaz gave the board members a brief explanation of how his job is considered the bridge between production, transmission, and distribution and finance. Sun, sand, sea, and a lot of major extras. That's the pitch that Virgin Islanders threw to business owners, bankers, and other potential investors who were at the first ever investment forum this week. Senators and the local business community collaborated to make that event a successful one that ultimately benefits the local economy. News 2's April Knight has more.
Lawmakers and the local business community came out in force at the 2015 USVI Investment Forum with one message. Setting up shop in the Virgin Islands is a great business move. The first investment forum is a brainchild of Senator Jeanette Millen-Young, chairperson of the Senate Committee on Economic Development.
We all have the ideas, is going to take access to capital, and so we have the banks, we have private equity folks, and we're hoping that at the end of this forum, we will have something tangible to offer to people.
Other senators willingly hopped on board to help out. The local pitch goes like this. Not only do we have sun, sand, and sea, we also boast hundreds of megabyte per second internet connections, not to mention the gigantic tax savings through EDA. This investor said he's ready to bring his business, Drinkable Air, down from Florida.
We make pure drinking water from the humidity in the air, a commodity that the Virgin Islands has a lot of. One of the benefits of the U.S. Virgin Islands is they do have the peace, security, sustainability of the United States government behind them. So looking to expand into this region.
Innovative CEO Sean O'Donnell said doing business in the Virgin Islands is not just about the climate, internet speeds, and tax savings. It's also an opportunity to make a real impact in the community.
I really encourage you to think hard about coming here. You get to work with and influence and partner with all these various both government and other business community leaders to really make an impact.
For News 2, I'm April Knight.
The participants to the investment forum actually arrived on Wednesday and had receptions and gatherings that same night as well as Thursday night, and that was held on the grounds of the 31st legislature. According to some attendees, it was an opportunity for them to network and connect in a more relaxed environment. The forum, which was held primarily at the Marriott Frenchman's Reef, ends Friday, July 31st. There seems to be no rain in sight, and local farmers are praying for an end to the current drought. The Department of Agriculture is doing what it can to help its farmers, but many have lost livestock and they want stronger assistance before things get any worse. News 2's Erica Parsons has the story.
Trevor Brown is working hard to keep his livestock and his farm alive since the current drought began.
I spend about $1,100 a month between feed and grass and for the animals and medicine.
I think this is the worst I've seen in quite a while.
Brown says farmers in the area have tried to get potable water, but they were told it's too costly to run lines in the area.
We need water in this area real bad. I lose probably about 25 head of animals since this drought going on.
The Department of Agriculture has been helping crop and livestock farmers.
The Department of Agriculture has taken it upon itself to try to assist farmers by going out and finding areas where there are large open fields of guinea grass, and we cut and bale and make that hay available. Another thing that the department is doing is making water available to farmers, and one of the things that seem to help the farmers get through this rough time is the molasses.
But even agricultural officials admit they've exhausted the areas where they've been baling hay, and their pond reserves are getting low. Brown says every farm for miles around here looks like his, barren. He thinks it's time they ask for federal assistance. Senators appropriated $500,000 Thursday to help agriculture get through the drought.
Senator Millie Young brought the information in front of the caucus. We decided to appropriate $500,000 from any available funds to go directly to the Department of Agriculture.
I think they need to declare a drought. We need federal assistance. Senators, even the governor here talk about agriculture. They need to come out and visit the farms and actually see what the farmers are going through.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Officials from agriculture are also asking anyone who may have large acres of land to donate some of the grass. Staffers can use heavy equipment to bale hay for farmers. Turn our attention to crime reports on July 31st, 2015 at roughly 2:40 a.m. The 911 emergency call center received notification from a concerned citizen of a homicide victim in Sugar Estate. Officers responded to the call and spoke with the owner of a nearby residence who stated that he'd heard gunfire towards the rear of his home, and as he opened the door to ascertain the situation, a man unknown to him ran into his home and collapsed. Officers conducted an inspection and discovered an unresponsive Hispanic male who appeared to have succumbed to multiple gunshot wounds. The victim, identified as 48-year-old Victor Colon, was a resident of the Paul M. Pearson Garden housing community. Police say if you have any information, call the crimes unit at 340-714-9833. Keeping our eye on the economy, here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. As we can see, everything down. The Dow down 55, NASDAQ down, S&P 500 also down. Welcome back. VI Department of Labor Commissioner Designee Catherine Hendry is pleased to announce that the VI Department of Labor Division of Occupational Safety and Health, in collaboration with the University of Puerto Rico Medical Science Campus, will be providing a no-cost 3-hour OSHA safety training class for the public-private sector, temporary employees in the general and construction industries in both districts. These are the dates: on August 11th at the St. Croix Renaissance at Carambola Beach Resort and Spa, that's from 9 to 12, and then 1 to 4, and then August 13th on St. Thomas at the Windward Passage Hotel from 9 to 12, and again at 1 to 4. Days after commemorating the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett has announced the availability of more than $100,000 in federal funding to the Virgin Islands Disability Rights Center. The grant awarded by the U.S. Department of Education will be used to fund DRCVI Parent Information Center program. The program provides information and training to parents of children with disabilities. The National Park Service hosted a special lecture on Thursday. A visiting archaeologist spent July excavating parts of the Christiansted National Historic Site in order to learn more about urban slavery. The team found thousands of artifacts that will provide more information about how slaves in Christiansted lived. NEWS2's Erica Parsons has the story.
There were actually 3 different areas for the slave quarters. This was one of them in 1803. There was a row of slave quarters extending from up under Hospital Street, because Hospital Street was not there.
Alicia Odewale has spent weeks in the dirt uncovering part of St. Croix's history.
Not a lot of archaeological research has been done here, so it was a good opportunity for me to come in and really find something that hasn't been discovered yet.
Odewale is an archaeologist and PhD candidate with the University of Tulsa. Her research led her here to the Christiansted National Historic Site in search of information about how enslaved Africans lived.
I've done a lot of excavations at other slave sites, African diaspora sites, and this site had the best context for finding slave quarters that have not been disturbed.
Odewale and her team began the initial work in January.
We did some shovel testing here to try and find the approximate locations of where the slave quarters were, and then this month, throughout July, we've done excavations to actually determine if these structures maintain their integrity.
High school students from the Youth Conservation Corps and UVI interns from Christiansted's Student Conservation Association helped search for artifacts. They also helped to clean and preserve the pieces that were found.
We discovered approximately 3,656 artifacts just within the 3 squares that we dug, 3 1-by-1 meter squares. And within that, we found a lot of metal, a lot of ceramics, a lot of glass, a lot of bricks and mortar. So further evidence that there were structures out here. It's going to definitely expand our interpretation of urban slavery, specifically, and slavery in the Danish West Indies, how the warehouse slaves, the royal slaves that were living within this compound, how they were living, what they ate, their living and working conditions.
Erica Parsons, News 2.